everybody, I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Z Garcia.
And today we're taking a look at a game called HUTAN, Life in the Rainforest. And I believe the word HUTAN, I think they tell us in here that it's the Indonesian word for forest. So now you know another language.
I'm learning so much today. What animal is that?
Bengal tiger.
Ooh, I learned two things.
So this game was interesting in its one sense because obviously the artwork from Vincent Dutray is going to attract people to it, but it's designed, the pair of designers designing it is Daniel Skjold Peterson and Asger Harding Kranerud, who did Heat.
Pedal to the metal.
Which, just to head you off, this is nothing like Heat.
No, not at all. But that game, of course, being a big hit,
Right.
Then you're curious about what their next thing's going to be. And this is, I think, if nothing else, incredibly different, and that just in and of itself is worthy of attention. This is a very different style game, very abstracted in many ways, but before we get into it, you should probably show them how to play.
Yep, here we go. Each player is going to have the same grid in front of them. Players all have the same four boards that have a different colored dot in the middle of them, and you can flip them over to either side. It doesn't really matter. You just, one person randomizes it, and then everyone else will build the exact same board. The game is made up of a whole bunch of cards. You're going to split these into cards of decks that are basically 2 times the number of players minus 1. Each round of the game, you're going to reveal a bunch of these cards. So this is a 4-player game. We'd reveal 7 of them. You also have the first player token here. So the way the game works is on my turn, the first player can pick anything except for this. So maybe they pick this card, then the next person picks a card, and you keep going, and anyone can, once the first player has made their first pick, anybody can pick this, which means they'll be the first player next turn, and they also get a flower, a wild flower of their choice. So you get 2 picks on a turn, and when you get a pick, you'll look at the flowers on your card, and you're going to put them on the board. Now, the first time you put flowers, you can put them pretty much anywhere you want, but they all have to be next to each other. Order doesn't matter. But let's say later on I get a red-yellow. I could put a red-yellow here, or I could even put a red-yellow here like that. When you put 2 flowers on top of each other, you create a tree. So you'll take that flower off, and you're going to put a tree there. That's pretty cool. And in fact, if you manage to get something where you put 2 red flowers here again and build another tree, if I fill an entire area with trees and all the flowers are the same color, then I remove one of the trees, and I'm going to put the animal that matches that color on it. This is the red orangutan, but we also have a tiger, a rhino, a bird, and a flightless bird. When you put them there, they fertilize all the spots next to them, so you can put a flower on each one for free, which, as you can see here, causes 2 trees to grow. Now, why am I doing all of this? Well, at the end of the game, each section on your board that has an animal will score points for the animal. Each section that's full and all the same color will score that many points. You can see bigger sections are going to score bigger amounts of points. And then every tree is going to score 2 points. However, if you have an area that has different colors in, you will lose these points. You'll lose 4 points in this example. Or if you just don't finish one, you'll also lose points for it at the end of the game. The game ends when we run out of cards, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. One more thing, there's also bonus cards, like you can put out that when you put these cards that everyone is trying to get, so maybe this one here says that if you get your groups of trees will score you points. If you have a big group of trees on the board, or having stuff in the same row or column, or trees that are next to the edge of the board, you can place those out. And in fact, the book has scenarios where you pick these bonus cards. They're called ecosystems, and then a very specific layout, which I don't really think matters. I think you just play with some random and go for it.
Yeah. The game is very... the setup can be... quite variable because you just do whatever you want and everybody copies that. And they do include quite a bit of possible replayability, variability with those cards, with the different setups. Having said that, I think the gameplay is going to feel generally the same each time you play. It has this sort of...
Yeah, it's not, I guess it's just to stop you from saying, I always place on this spot first.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of... I mean, it's hard to show you maybe here in the box, but this whole bottom section is filled with these cardboard trees. Completely unnecessary, but I like them.
Yeah.
And I like the look of the game in general. The little wooden animals with the screen printing, nice Vincent Dutray artwork, they really stand out.
They do.
They pop on the thing, and you don't get that many. Getting an animal is like a big deal.
Right. And it feels good to, when it's that nicely produced, getting one then also feels good.
The drafting, I'm a big fan of drafting. I like
Yeah.
the idea of drafting cards, going around a table, picking cards, and there's that first player token and who takes that, because that's a big deal for the next round. There's going to come a point where I want a double red card. I hope it comes up. But the gameplay itself, and I like the game, but I don't know that the game feels particularly innovative.
I agree with that. I don't think it comes across that way. I do enjoy the way that I do like the rising tension in the game. Upon first play, you'll sort of nothing really starts to click yet. You put some flowers out. I mean, the obvious things are obvious. You try to have a group with all the same flower. Okay, sure. Hey, that card has the color I need. It goes in there. But very quickly, and this is my favorite part of the game, actually, very quickly you start to realize that things are going to start kind of butting up against one another. Things start to encroach on things you were working elsewhere, and you're like, well, now it starts to get interesting, where things don't quite line up the way I want them to, and I got to get creative with what goes where. How do I position this so I can forget about this corner of the board for a while and then come back to it later? And I like all that. But no, the game certainly does not feel like, ooh, this is doing things I've never seen before. Stacking, kind of polyomino-esque, one square at a time, really, but and then layers of that stuff, we've seen that quite a bit. I'm honestly kind of shocked at how not innovative this is. That's not a knock against the game, actually. I'm just sort of surprised that it is so by the numbers in many ways.
But it works in that way, too, because it's easy to play. If you're a fan of games like Cascadia and things like that, you'll easily pick this up.
Low barrier of entry, yeah.
I will say this game is one of the ones where drafting, like I said, it becomes really important. And it's one of the few times where sometimes I'm torn between two cards. I will look at the next person and take something that will hurt them.
Okay.
I don't often do that in games because I'm concentrating on my own stuff. But if I'm like, I could use white or red or white and black, either one. Oh, you need red. Well, I'm taking white and red then.
Yeah.
Not like super negative, but you are going to be annoyed at stuff other people draft.
Yeah,
that's going to happen, whether they do it on purpose or not.
Yeah. It's easy enough to keep track of what's going on because the barrier of entry, like you said, or the mental load is fairly low. So, yes, you could certainly look around the table and kind of see what everybody's working on and keep track of how many animals are left, of which kinds you might be close to getting. This all will add a little bit of that, tension, a little bit of that sprinkle of flavor into the game. And I like the game play. It's one I enjoy my time with the game, but it is not innovative, and it does kind of feel painfully abstract. It is sort of
sure, you have
abstract to
an orangutan,
fault. It's abstract to a fault in many ways, and if you're someone who wants a theme, if you enjoy gameplay because it transports you somewhere, this is not, I think, going to be able to overcome that. Yeah,
so for me, the whole thing comes down, though, to a nice package. It's hard to explain. We talk about these games, these family weight games or gateway games. Maybe I play with people who don't play a lot of games.
Right.
If they like dominoes, maybe they would like this. It's not necessarily a direct correlation, but that might be something that's interesting. And it's kind of easy to get into. I think the replayability, while they have all these things in here, the replayability is one you can play. You can play it as often. It's lighter than Ticket to Ride, I think.
Yeah. Especially without the bonus cards, certainly, yeah.
So I'm giving it a 7. I think it's a nice, lightweight game. It's going to be very attractive. And it's the kind of game that if a random person doesn't play many games bought, I'd be like, oh, good. I think they'll get it.
That's a good observation. I agree. I'm also coming down at a 7, by the way, and this is one I'm happy to play. I expect to maybe teach this at conventions. I expect to be that kind of game. If there's someone there that seems a little lost, maybe they're new to the hobby, or just playing with some family or friends, then absolutely, this is a good one. The look helps. The ease of entry is certainly going to help. I'm just worried that it's not the one that people will go, ooh, I want to go back to that jungle tiger game. They might, it's not going to hook them thematically. And I wish it was a little bit more thematically engaging from that point of view. But something light and quick and punchy, and that looks fantastic doing that, HUTAN is a winner from that point of view.
There you go, folks. Welcome to the Jungle Forest. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
See you next time.
Welcome to the jungle.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. And you can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.